What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Got a potential mega matchup that's being discussed for February 10th, one day before the Super Bowl. It'll be going down in the location of the Super Bowl, Las Vegas, Nevada, aka Sin City, home of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the venue that I'm hearing for the fight to take place will be Mandalay Bay, the arena that Oscar De La Hoya built. Now, Oscar De La Hoya is the promoter of Ryan Garcia, and he's trying to negotiate a fight with top-ranked boxing's, or one of top-ranked boxing's top fighters, Teofimo Lopez, aka Mr. Takeover. He's the WBO and Ring Magazine Junior Welterweight Champion. Now, the first order of business is for Ryan Garcia to win his fight coming up in November. They're trying to set the stage for that fight to take place against Oscar Duarte in a quote-unquote tune-up. He takes care of business in that fight. Don't suffer no injuries, no cuts. Gets through that fight unscathed. That will set the stage for Oscar De La Hoya and Top-Rank Boxing's CEO, Bob Arum, to do a joint promotion with ESPN being the lead promoter. In the same situation that we saw with Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. It was a joint promotion, but the lead promoter was the PBC, and it was on PBC's #1 network provider, Showtime pay-per-view. And this will be the same situation, the same blueprint. It'll be on ESPN pay-per-view. It'll also be carried on the Zone, just like that Tank versus Ryan Garcia, which was on Showtime pay-per-view, and the Zone picked up the Showtime pay-per-view feed and showed it on the Zone pay-per-view. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But the fight is being discussed. The fight is not finalized, but that's the fight that Bob Arum and Oscar De La Hoya want to come to fruition. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. You got to give Ryan Garcia a lot of credit. Ryan Garcia, if he makes this fight happen, he would have fought Tank Davis, taking a tune-up against a guy, Oscar Duarte, and then fighting Teofimo Lopez. So in a 3-fight span, he's been to fight two of the biggest stars in boxing. Two guys that have a strong case to be on the top 10 pound-for-pound rankings. I do have Tank Davis in the top 10, and I have Teofimo Lopez in the top 10. Now, I know before the Josh Taylor victory, Teofimo Lopez wasn't in anybody's top 10 pound-for-pound rankings. I haven't seen the updated, but I would assume that he is off that victory in the top 10 of the pound-for-pound rankings. So you got to fight two guys that's in the top 10 pound-for-pound rankings. Two difficult fights in a 3-fight span. So Ryan Garcia must get his accolades, must get his round of applause if that's indeed the case, and he takes on Teofimo Lopez February 10th. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Very, very interesting developments in the sport of boxing. 2023 has been a great year. The sport of boxing has enjoyed a renaissance in 2023. In 2024, we'll get off to a big bang if we do get Teofimo Lopez versus Ryan Garcia. Now, Top Rank Boxing was wanting to put on Teofimo Lopez in December. As we know, the last several years, Top Rank has put on a fight right after the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and Teofimo Lopez was slated to be a part of that card. But from what I'm hearing, he's going to try to wait for the Ryan Garcia fight in February. He's got a lot of business to take care of outside the ring. He's going through a divorce with his wife. He's trying to get that situated with the courts as far as they have a child together and what will be the visitation rights. All that's got to be ironed out. So he's going through a lot of things outside the ring that he needs to take care of, which will take him out of action for the rest of 2023. But he should be ready to rock and roll in February of 2024 in a big fight. Now, Top Rank Boxing has reserved that date with Mandalay Bay for February 10th. I reported that a couple of months ago, along with the PBC reserving 2 dates in November and 2 dates in December. Top Rank also reserved that date in February through the Nevada Boxing Commission. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But it's an interesting fight, man. Interesting fight. I give Ryan Garcia a much better chance against Teofimo Lopez than I do against that I did against Tank Davis. Now he's training under the tutelage of Derek James. That's his new trainer. And he must develop his right hand. And that's what this tune-up fight in November is going to be about, developing that right hand, because he cannot beat the top fighters just with the left hook. Tank Davis took away the left hook and he had no answers. Ultimately got stopped in 7 rounds. And Teofimo Lopez, who's another fighter with a high boxing IQ, is not going to let you beat him with that left hook. He's going to take that away. And that's why he's got to develop that right hand. His situation is similar to Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Isaac Pitbull Cruz is another guy that's left hook happy. Ain't got no right hand. Ain't developed the right hand. He got exposed in his last fight against Giovanni Cabrera. And he needs to, him and his team needs to make that improvement on his right hand if he's looking to do better in a possible Tank Davis rematch or other top fighters at 135 pounds. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. He must use his attributes that he has over Teofimo Lopez. He's a taller fighter. He has a longer reach. He must stay behind the jab, and he must look to set the right hand up to tame Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is a classic counterpuncher. He prefers you to come towards him, letting your hands go, and he can counter off you. He's a precision counterpuncher. He's not as effective going forward as he is going backward. That's Teofimo Lopez. And that's what I bring up when people talk about a potential matchup with Teofimo Lopez versus Tank Davis. I say it's a good fight, but I give Tank the edge because he's more versatile than Teofimo Lopez. He's a precision counterpuncher just like Teofimo Lopez with more power, and he's able to fight going forward and going backwards. Unlike Teofimo Lopez, who's much more effective fighting off the back foot than going forward, as we seen in the fight before Josh Taylor against Sandor Martin. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But February 10th, Super Bowl weekend, big weekend for the NFL. And boxing is looking to put on a big fight that Saturday before the big game. And the fight that's being discussed is Teofimo Lopez, who will be risking his WBO and Ring Magazine's junior welterweight titles, taking on one of the biggest stars in boxing, fresh off the biggest fight in boxing of 2023, Ryan Garcia. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know in the comment section, do you like this fight? Or do you rather Teofimo Lopez take on Devin Haney instead? Or maybe take on George Kambosos, try to get his revenge, try to get his get back, as that's his only loss of his career in shocking fashion, as he lost all his belts at 135 pounds when he fought George Kambosos in the small room in Madison Square Garden. He'll be looking, well, a lot of his fans rather see him exact revenge on George Kambosos. Now, from what I'm hearing with George Kambosos is he's going to be out the rest of 2023. And he's looking to fight for the vacant IBF, and they're looking to stage a mega fight between him and Vasil Lomachenko, who's highly rated in the WBO, for a big fight over there in Australia in one of those big soccer stadiums, or possibly the tennis stadium where they host the Australian Open. That's what my source is telling me. That's the likely route that George Kambosos is going to go. So I don't think that's really an option for Teofimo Lopez. And Devin Haney has a fight in December, so he won't be ready to fight in December 9th and come back a month later and take on Teofimo Lopez February 10th. So that's not likely. So the best opponent and the opponent that can pay Teofimo Lopez his highest purse will be Ryan Garcia, as Teofimo Lopez is in a bitter dispute with Top Rank Boxing over Top Rank Boxing not selling him like he feels that they need to sell him, that they're much more interested in promoting black fighters, according to Teofimo Lopez. And he was really upset with his purse, saying that he's not going to fight another fight up on the Top Rank Boxing for anything less than 15 million. So the fight with Ryan Garcia could put him in that neighborhood of 15 million. As we know, Ryan Garcia made 30 million when he lost to Tank Davis. So Teofimo Lopez just feel that if he gets a 50-50 deal with Ryan Garcia, he is a champion. Ryan Garcia is the draw. Maybe they come together and do a 50-50 deal, that will put him in the neighborhood of what he was asking for before and after the Josh Taylor fight, which took place in a small room in Madison Square Garden. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard Briscoe. Quick thing before y'all follow me on Facebook. That's another thing I want to ask you guys. Y'all can answer this in the text. What would be a bigger fight? What would do more pay-per-view buys? Tank versus Teo or Ryan versus Teo. Which fight would do more pay-per-view buys? Tank Davis versus Teofimo Lopez, or Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo Lopez? Because a lot of people gonna say, oh man, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, that did 500,000 pay-per-view buys. That let you know that Ryan Garcia is a star. Tank ain't never did more than 275,000 pay-per-view buys. When he ain't never did that. He ain't never did that outside of the Ryan Garcia fight. His highest pay-per-view was 275,000 when he fought Rolly Romero. Only reason why he did 1.2 million pay-per-view buys is because he fought Ryan Garcia, who has 20 million Instagram followers. Okay, and a lot of people are going to really take that and run with it if he do good numbers with Teofimo Lopez. But the question I'm going to ask you guys is, put Tank Davis in a fight with Teofimo Lopez instead of Ryan Garcia. How many pay-per-view buys will that do? And in my opinion, that pay-per-view would do better than a Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo Lopez pay-per-view. Let me say it again. Tank Davis versus Teofimo Lopez pay-per-view would do more buys than a Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo Lopez pay-per-view. But I know a lot of people are going to say, if he do fight Teofimo Lopez, and like I said, I think that fight's going to do some good numbers. 500,000 is probably the ceiling for that fight. I don't see it doing over 500,000. 500,000 the ceiling for that fight, but if it do 500,000, that's some good numbers. That's more than what Tank has done outside of the Ryan Garcia fight. But Tank is on his 7th straight pay-per-view. He's got a fight coming up in December. My sources are telling me that it's either going to be Pitbull Cruz, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, or Gary Russell Jr. And we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But Tank Davis is definitely the face of boxing, definitely the cash cow of the sport, and his last outing proves that point. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard Briscoe. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.